Jacqueline Simuna, I've been looking forward to chatting with you for so very long, and it's a pleasure to catch up with you here at GateCon The Celebration.
Excellent, thank you.
How has your convention been, and what keeps bringing you back to events like this?
It's been great, and the truth is, the one thing that always brings me back and that is consistent, it really doesn't matter where the con is in the world, is the sense of family that you have with Stargate, with all of the series of Stargate and all of the fans and the people that, there's a lot of Vancouver actors who are here. We're in Vancouver for this one, but it doesn't matter where I go in the world. We all connect, we remember. It's as if 20 years ago was yesterday. It's incredible. Yeah, so it's been really fun.
And you catch up with a lot of friends, a lot of your System Lord peeps.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, we're missing Sue-Ann Braun, but honestly, I have had repeated amazing experiences with Sue-Ann, with Peter Williams-Apophis, and of course Cliff, who's no longer with us, and we miss him dearly.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah.
I had a chance to interview Cliff probably 15, 17 years ago.
Yeah.
And just a dear man.
Oh yeah.
And he left nothing but light behind.
Oh, absolutely. And he was so much fun for somebody who could look so incredibly terrifying and who was just so, like, such an incredible athlete and, and a former, kind of Navy SEAL equivalent basically for South Africa. But he was so funny. And the last time I did a convention with him, Sue-Ann and Peter and I, we were all in England, and I was injured, so I was borrowing someone's wheelchair just to get me around the con more easily, and it had to sit outside my hotel room. And there was one night where we ended up just horsing around in the hallway, having a blast. Peter somehow had gone to bed. I don't know how we didn't wake him up though, because we were outside his room. And I went back into my room, and then I opened the door because I was going to sneak over to Cliff's door and do like Nicky Nine Doors or something and just do a prank on him. And as I was opening my door to sneak out, he was opening his door to sneak out. We were both like, and we just laughed and laughed. I laughed so hard, and and that's just something that would happen consistently. Like, we just had the best time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great to hear stories of you guys having such fun together, and of course, it's great for fans to meet you in person and see the contrast between the actors and the characters.
Yeah.
Was there any of you in Nirrti buried somewhere?
Well, for one thing, I love science. So for me, and that's one of the reasons why I created some of the story concepts for Metamorphosis, because I was really, really interested in science, quantum physics, metaphysics. And so that side was definitely a commonality. I've always loved Egypt. When I created a theater company when I was very young, it was going to be called Camel's Eye, and ultimately was called Pyramid Productions. So I've always related to kind of ancient worlds. So that was very cool. Yeah, so there were all of these different things. The fact that she was a strong woman and had the subtext going on. I like to think that I'm not on the surface kind of person, so that was another element. And also she was just fun in her own way.
Yeah, wickedly fun.
Yeah, wickedly
and
fun.
Very smart.
Yeah.
Fair Game is one of my favorite episodes of the whole show.
Yay.
And this brought the System Lords to Earth. This introduced Nirrti in person. Mm-hmm. And then you mentioned Metamorphosis, which I want to talk about because you contributed, as you said, some of the story elements to this. But that arc from Fair Game to Metamorphosis, how would you describe Nirrti over time? How did she grow? How did she change? Or did she at all? Was she just sort of laser focused on her objective and she just drove it into the ground until it finally caught up with her?
Right. Well, in Fair Game, she's kind of introduced as a politician, and there's a big power struggle, and so there's all that negotiation, and clearly it's made clear that she doesn't play fair and she doesn't play by the rules, and she really doesn't, she's not concerned about how her actions impact others. She's just concerned about getting done what needs to be done. So that was something that was consistent and played all the way through. And then, I really did enjoy, oh my goodness, what was the name of the next episode? After Fair Game, where I'm with Corin Nemec, and once again, I'm playing a game that is not, it's not obvious all the levels that are being played. So there were certain things that were always consistent. And then in Metamorphosis, what was interesting is I had pitched that story. I'd actually been approached to pitch a story to a different show. And I had created this concept of this DNA kind of modification system for a different show.
Oh.
And I was sitting down with Brad, and I just started talking about this concept. And he was like, you know, that's kind of interesting. I want to bring that into the room and just see what happens with that. And then he came back to me and he said, yeah, he's like, I think there's a place for this. In my mind, the interesting thing is I didn't even connect it to Nirti. I was pitching it just completely separately. So it was fascinating to me when the story came back, and it's like, oh, not only is this your part of the concept, but this is your character. And then of course I flipped through and realized I died, and I was like, no. But yeah, that was really, really fun.
It seemed to fit just perfect when it came along, because
it did.
In season 6, the show is exploring the ancients more,
yeah,
and their interest in evolution, ascension,
yeah,
and it fit Nirti so well because of her interest in creating a Hawktar,
right,
an advanced human host.
Yeah, and I really loved the way they demonstrated that machinery with the special effects, with the kind of DNA helix kind of going around. In my original pitch, which I will still do one day, so don't anyone steal this, the helix became like a stairway, and you actually climbed the stairs as you were learning about the different kind of aspects of the DNA.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was your contribution to Metamorphosis. Clearly not your teleplay, or Nirti would not have met the grisly that she did.
I know. I wish I could have written the whole script, but you know, James it was kind of his turn to have a script opportunity, and he was, you know, of course, ready to do it and had been working on the show for so long. But yeah, I'm so pleased though that I got to contribute to a story for Stargate. I love it, and I still love the episode, even though I wish I came back to life.
Yeah. Well, she gets a great arc there, from her name being whispered and mentioned in season 1,
yes,
to Fair Game, to Rite of Passage with the older
Rite of Passage.
That's the one we were trying to remember. To Metamorphosis. And
yeah,
she has a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Yes.
If she had lived to fight another day, what would you have liked to see her do?
Well, I actually wanted to mess with RDA. I wanted Jack to have to suffer a little bit at the hands of Nirti. I could taste it. I was like ready. I just really wanted that. But anyway, that was not meant to be. But then of course I did come back for Continuum.
Right.
So, you know, and with another spectacular wardrobe and fabulous hair in that one. So that was really,
all of the System Lords
yeah,
together in one place.
That was really satisfying to come back. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, what have you been working on lately? You told us a little bit before we started that you're on Virgin River coming up. Yeah,
actually, it was really cool. You know, I've been auditioning. Now it's so interesting with COVID times. Now actors are doing their own self-tapes at home. So sometimes you can have multiple very large auditions. And so this was on a day where I had 2 separate auditions to record. They were both 10 pages each, tons of dialogue. And the one for Virgin River was really word heavy. It was a tough attorney who's just really battering this poor witness who's just a lovely young woman who's one of the regulars on the show. And I don't know that I should tell too much about the story, but I'll suffice it to say it was super satisfying. Martin Wood directed. I love working with Martin every chance I can get. And it was fun because we were block shooting, which means we were working in a big courtroom, and they had the lights set up, and so they shot, there were 3 scenes, and they shot one half of the courtroom all in one order. And then they shot the other half of the courtroom all in one order. So you were basically shooting 3 scenes at the same time. So it meant that you were doing 3 times the amount of dialogue and 3 times the amount of kind of work. And it almost felt like doing theater, because it's very rare working on camera that you'll do 8 pages without stopping. Most of the time you're doing half a page or maybe a page, and there's lots of breaks, and you're just doing things in tiny little pieces the whole time. So this was very cool. It was like walking onto stage, and I haven't done theater in some time, but it just kind of woke up those instincts, and I just loved it. And then I continued to do voice work, and I did a TV movie with Peter DeLuise. I think that was probably a year and a half ago. And I've done a few things over the course of you know, COVID, but I consistently do voice work as well, which I love.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Martin is so great at optimizing his shots.
Oh yeah.
I remember last time we were here at GateCon, Martin was on stage and he was sort of demonstrating the way that he sets up 2 cameras and gets over the shots and
Yeah.
turns, and he can get twice as much usable footage
Yeah.
in the same amount of time.
He is a maestro, and actually he was supposed to be here at GateCon, and he was so sad that he couldn't come. We took a couple of pictures on set. He ended up being required to do some sound mixing or a post kind of thing on one of his shows, so he wasn't able to come, but he really, really wanted to be here.
Jacqueline, it's a great pleasure to get a chance to talk to you. Thank you for coming out to GateCon. Thank you for talking with
Thank
Gate
you.
World.
Thank you. Cheers. Cheers to Gate World.